Nothing good ever happens when you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. It wasn't my fault. I was standing at a traffic light, and a guy pulled up next to me. He motioned for me to lower the window. "Your tire is flat," he said. I thanked him and pulled into the store parking lot on the right. I went out and looked. Shit. I could see the head of the screw that had penetrated the tire tread, and the air was slowly leaking out. Great. Now what? I decided to go in and grab a can of sealant. When I returned it, I took out the screw. Big mistake. Now the air really began to hiss out. I put it back in and pumped it up the tier at a gas station in the parking lot. I was only 15 miles from home and checked it several times. If it became too low, I would add a can of sealant. There was a convenience store about 5 miles from home, and I could see in the driver's side mirror that the tire was badly flat. I pulled up, and they didn't have a pump. It's time to test the sealant. I put it inside, and a little green goo came out. I guess they don't call it good for nothing, but the hissing of the air coming out stopped. I was just about to get back to my car when I noticed a pickup truck approaching. It was one of those giant cars with huge tires. It stood so high that you would need a ladder to climb inside. I recognized this truck from somewhere. The door opened, and a tall, blond guy came out. He was wearing cowboy boots and a huge belt with a buckle. I chuckled slightly, but the laughter stopped about halfway through. The passenger door opened, and a beautiful raven-haired woman jumped out. I definitely recognized her. It was Rachel, the woman I had been married to for the last 18 years. What the heck? I was parked to the side, and they didn't even notice my car. It was a company car, one of those little box-shaped imports that I don't think is very noticeable. They walked into the store holding hands, and she laughed in his face. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I couldn't breathe and I couldn't move. All I could do was stand there like a fool. Now I remember where I saw this guy before. He worked for the same company as Rachel. She was the office manager of a psychiatric clinic, and he was one of the social workers. I saw a truck outside their clinic. The question was, what did Rachel do with him? I couldn't remember his name. It finally came to me, Jerry Garner. The question was, why wasn't Rachel at work? I was going to find out. I returned to the car and waited. He helped her sit up as they walked out of the store, carrying cups of coffee. They ran off with a roar, and I followed them at a respectful distance. They drove up to our house, and he pulled into the garage. The door dropped down, and I couldn't see anything anymore. I sat there for 30 minutes, but the thought of the tire made me nervous. I kept checking on her, but if she was coming down, I didn't see it. 2 hours later, the door opened and they drove past me back. I held the file folder in front of my face, but I still don't think they would have noticed. She was sitting directly across from him, and they were too busy staring at each other to notice anything else. Rachel wouldn't be free until 5, and it was already 2:30. I would have enough time. First, I would have to go inside and see what I could find. I had to pick up Toby at 4, and I had no idea what I was going to tell her. Toby was my 15-year-old daughter. I couldn't imagine what I'd find inside, but maybe I'd get some answers. When I walked inside, everything was quiet. I heard water dripping from the faucet I was about to fix in Toby's bathroom. It was the only sound other than the rustle of air coming out of the air conditioning vents. I looked around, but didn't see anything unusual. I checked upstairs. The bed was made. There were fresh sheets. My heart sank like a stone. I leaned my back against the wall and slid to the floor. I felt numb. There seemed to be only one rational explanation. I must have sat there for about 30 minutes. My mind was in freewheeling mode. I couldn't seem to make sense of my thoughts, and felt as if I had been drugged with tranquilizers. My stomach started to feel sick. I stood up and opened Sprite. I felt hot and sweaty, so I went back to the bathroom. I rummaged around in my vanity for a washcloth, soaked it in the sink, and rinsed my face with cold water. After washing my face, I felt a little better. Then I noticed something. The shower floor was wet. They showered before returning to work. I returned to the bedroom and sat in a daze on the edge of the bed that my wife and her lover had just left. I jumped at the thought and looked at him in horror. This was a crime scene. I had no idea what I was going to do. Well, I was going to divorce Rachel. This was a given. I had absolutely no idea where to start. I didn't know a single lawyer. I had no idea how to proceed and had to pick Toby up from school. Toby, what was I going to tell her? I walked to the car, feeling like I'd been drunk for 10 days straight. My head was throbbing and I looked as if death had warmed me. I was in no condition to drive, but I couldn't keep Toby waiting. I suddenly realized that she was the only person in my life that I could truly rely on. Everything was fine with my baby. I was going to take care of it. Whatever I did, I had to take her into account. As I pulled into the line of cars, I saw her waiting at the school door. She walked along the sidewalk towards the car, so beautiful that my heart sank. Toby had her mother's hair and skin, dark and almost Mediterranean in appearance. She had the most amazing eyes I've ever seen. They seemed to be dark brown, like her mother's, with streaks of gold and green. The doctor called them nutty, but I've never seen anything like it. She was tall, like me, with long dark brown legs and beauty. She opened the back door and threw her backpack in. When she sat down, she slid towards me to kiss me and froze. "Dad, what happened?" she asked. "You are sick? Something happened? Is everything okay with Mom? What happened, Dad?" Her voice rose, and there were notes of fear in it. I had to say something. "I'm fine, kitten," I said. "Nobody's hurt or sick or anything like that. I need to talk to you, Toby. Let's go to the park and just let me hug you and talk to you for a minute, okay? Don't ask me any more questions until we get there, okay?" "Okay, Dad, but you scare me a little," she said. "I know, kitten, but everything will be fine," I told her, hoping it wasn't a lie. It only took us about 5 minutes to get to the park. I've pushed her on that swing 1,000 times. Rachel and I both sat on the benches and watched her play on the equipment. Happier times. Was my whole life supposed to consist of nothing but memories of happier times? We walked over to one of the benches and she took my hand, swinging our arms as we walked, just like she had done since she was so tiny, barely able to walk. We sat down and I struggled to find the words to begin. "Just tell me, Dad," she said. "I can handle this." "Well, I'm not sure I can," I said. The story came out on its own. I told her everything I saw, everything I felt, and tears flowed down my cheeks like a river. She held my hand all this time, and when the fountain of words and feelings dried up, she pressed herself close to me. "That doesn't sound very good, Dad," she said. "We need to go home and ask Mom about this. I think it all depends on what she tells us. I know it looks bad, but we don't know enough. We need to talk to her." I kissed the top of her head. My heart filled with pride. My child was much braver than me. She pulled my hand until I stood up. "Do you want to drive?" I asked her. Her eyes were shining. She just received her study permit. When she thought about this, a cloud flashed through those beautiful eyes, but it quickly passed. She carefully drove home while Rachel's car was parked in the garage. It was her. She greeted us at the door, hugging and kissing each of us. You'd think she wasn't a cheating slut. Either she was an Oscar-winning actress or I misinterpreted the whole situation. "Do you two want anything to take out tonight?" she asked. "I'll treat you." "I think we just need to talk to you for a minute, Mom," Toby said. "Okay. Everything okay, baby?" "I don't know," Toby said. "Let's find out." We walked in, and I sat down on the couch next to Toby. This left Rachel sitting in that disgusting chair that she simply had to have. "What's happened?" she asked. There was not an iota of worry on her face. "How was your day?" I asked. She looked at me curiously. "Everything is as usual," she said. "One of the pharmacy representatives brought lunch from the onion bin. It was quite busy and I hardly had a free minute." "Why are you asking this?" "So you were in the office all day?" asked Toby. "Of course," she said. "What kind of questions are these? What's happening?" "So you weren't in the house with Jerry Garner this afternoon?" I asked. Her face turned pale. "Of course not," she said. "Are you accusing me of something, Oliver?" "I saw you," I told her. "What? You didn't see anything?" She stammered now. "What are you trying to do?" "He's lying, Toby. I was in the office all day. You can ask Angel. No, I don't think he's lying, Mom, Toby said. I think you're lying. I won't ask Angel. She would lie for you. I think I'll call David Jones. He's your boss, right? I don't think he would lie for you. What's his number? He got off the night shift, Rachel said. I'll ask him to call you tomorrow. What are you two doing? Are you trying to trick me or something? You think you can just come here and try to trip me up? What are you accusing me of? I think she believed that the best defense was a good offense. I think you set yourself up, I told her. You lied, Rachel. All three of us know you lied. Why do you do it? I saw the wheels turning in her head. Okay, I was here, she said. That's the reason I didn't want to tell you. I knew that you would give me a third-degree interrogation and try to accuse me of something. Nobody accused you of anything, Toby said. Now I'm accusing you of something. You tried to make me believe that Dad was a liar. You tried to make him out to be a liar to cover up your lies. What are you lying about, Mom? Are you having an affair with this idiot? You don't even know him, Rachel said. Why did you say he was an idiot? I met him twice, Toby said. The way he looks at me makes me want to take a bath. But it does not matter. Are you having an affair with him? Rachel's eyes darted between us for a moment, like those of a trapped animal. I didn't want it to be like this, she finally said. I wasn't ready. You weren't ready for what? Asked Toby. I just fell in love with Jerry, she said. She looked at me. I'm sorry, Oliver. It just happened that way. You know, we work very closely together. He was fair. I don't know. He is like the other half of my soul. We just connected, and I couldn't help it. We are in love with each other. I was going to tell you when we were ready. As soon as we can both get a divorce, we will get married. I am so sorry. I didn't want you to find out about it this way. Toby, everything will be fine. You will still be able to see your father whenever you want. Jerry has a really nice place on the lake. You know, he also has a daughter. He likes you, and we will be very happy. Are you crazy? Toby practically exploded. I'm not going to live with this asshole. He would probably sneak into my bedroom at night to molest me. You are right. I will see my dad anytime I want because I will live with him. It's you I won't see again. How could you? She turned on her heel and walked up the stairs to her room. I heard the lock on her door click. Rachel turned and looked at me. She'll get through this, she said. Jerry is a really good guy, Oliver. I think you'll like it. I'm sorry, but I need to be happy. Jerry makes me happy, and that's all there is. I just stared at her. Who was this man? It was as if her body had been stolen. I had no intention of arguing or discussing anything with a dangerous, crazy woman. Whatever you say, Rachel, I said. When are you moving? Should I move out? She said. But I'm not going to. I have nowhere to go. Jerry is married and we can't do anything until we tell his wife. We'll all have to get divorced and see how things go with the settlement before we know what we need to do. No, you're moving out, I told her. I give you 3 days. Her jaw dropped. What the hell are you talking about? You can't kick me out of my own home. If anything, you should be the one moving out. You're forgetting something, I said. This is my home. It belonged to me before I met you. It was paid for and I clearly owned it before we got married. The house is not a family property. It is mine. My name is on the document, but yours is not. No, you're moving out of my house. Where? She asked. Are you just going to throw me out on the street? I really don't care where, I said. Perhaps you could get a room at the Cheating Slut Motel? Maybe one of those places that rents by the hour, you know. This is where you fallen women do the dirty work, right? Her eyes filled with tears. It really hurts, Oliver, she said. There is no need to call names. I didn't try to fall in love with Jerry. It just happened. We just hit it off, and I knew I needed to be with him. I didn't try to hurt you. Oh, you just accidentally hurt me, I said. Kind of like falling when you run with a stick in your hand and googie out your eye. Mom always warned me about this. Now I see how it happens. Well, then everything is fine. It was an accident. And there's no need to be so sarcastic about this either, she said. Why can't you just accept the fact that we love each other, Oliver? Gee. I don't know, Rachel, I said. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that when I left this morning, you told me you loved me. Now you tell me that you love him. I guess I'm just a little confused. I really love you, Oliver, she said. I will always love you. I'm just in love with Jerry. Oh, well, then that explains it all, I said. You told me every day for the last 18 years that you were in love with me, Rachel. I thought that's why we got married. We were in love with each other. I must have been delirious. Oh no, we were in love. She tried to take my hand. I shook her hand off. You have 3 days, Rachel. If you're not out in 3 days, I'll have the sheriff turn you out and throw your shit in the driveway. Please, Oliver. She was scared now. It doesn't have to be like that. We can still be friends. Jerry wants to be your friend too. We need to think about Toby. I told you that I love you and don't want to lose you as a friend. We've been together too long for you to just throw this away. I just looked at her for a minute. I felt all this sadness, all this loss, just melt away, to be replaced by a wave of white-hot anger. You must be completely crazy, Rachel, I said. Friends? With you? With this idiot? I kind of think not. You need to tell that piece of shit that if he sees me, it won't be for long, just before he runs away as fast as he can. As far as you are concerned, you are the enemy, Rachel. I'm going to burn your house down. You have 3 days, and then I never want to see your scruffy ass again. I'll talk to a lawyer in the morning and you can get your divorce as quickly as possible. I turned and went into the bedroom, leaving her standing there and making some noises. That's all they were to me. She followed me around, continuing her nonsense about friends the entire time I was moving her things into the spare bedroom. She had more clothes in her closet than I could carry, so I just threw them on her, carried the armful into the spare bedroom, and hung them in the closet. She followed me. She stood there for a while, yapping and watching me. But when she went to hang up her clothes, I took advantage of the situation to leave and lock the bedroom door. I heard her walk down the corridor, but she pulled the handle and then left. Toby texted me a few minutes later. Are you okay, Dad? Yes, kitten. And you? I wrote a response message. No, but I will, she said. Okay, I love you, I sent. Write to me if you need anything. Will you take me to school in the morning? She said. I don't want to be in the car with her. Fine. I climbed into bed and lay there for several hours, trying to figure out what I needed to do. I must have dozed off around 3, and then the alarm on my phone went off. I got up, took a shower, and called my boss. I told him I was getting a divorce and needed a few days off. He told me to take as much as I needed and made all the right noises about how sorry he was. I went and made coffee. I had a cup or two and prepared breakfast for Toby and me. She came down right on time, looking as beautiful as ever, and greedily devoured her breakfast. After a while, Rachel came in and grabbed a cup of coffee. She tried to talk to us, but we ignored her. It was time to take Toby to school, and Rachel asked her if she was ready. Toby just looked at her, turned to me, and asked, Are you ready, Dad? I jingled my keys, and she grabbed her backpack. Okay, you can act like 2-year-olds if it makes you feel good, Rachel said. She stalked away, picked up her purse, gave us another glare, and left. I drove Toby to school, and she kissed me on her way out. I sat and watched her leave. I was thinking about my friend Dan. He had just gone through a divorce, and I decided to call him and find out what lawyer he had used. He did not recommend his lawyer. He told me that I should use his wife's lawyer. He told me the name, and I looked up the phone number. When I called, a woman answered the phone and put me on hold after I told her what I wanted. She agreed to meet me that afternoon, and I took all the usual steps. We had investments, and there was little I could do about it. I could be confident that her credit card bills wouldn't increase, so I called and lowered our card limits to $500. That wouldn't be my style either, but I'll be damned if I'm going to fund her little venture. My meeting with Elizabeth Baxter did not start out very well. She made some assumptions, and it was necessary to disabuse her of them before we could get to work. She suggested that I was leaving Rachel for a younger girl. You need to think again, I told her. She is having an affair with her colleague. He is married, and they both plan to get divorced and marry each other. I apologize, she said. I will not represent anyone who takes such actions as you speak of. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I understand, I said. We have a daughter. I want to minimize the consequences. Do you think it's possible for me to get custody of her? It's possible, she said. The theory is that either parent is just as likely as the other to receive custody. In practice, fathers rarely receive custody, especially of female children. How old is she, and will she want to stay with you? She said yes, and she's 15, I said. This will be of great importance for the court's decision, she said. In this state, children over 14 years of age can choose, and the wishes of young children are always taken into account. If she were very young, you wouldn't even be able to stand prayer. Having a primary residence and the fact that the 15-year-old wants to stay with you should be a major part of the custody agreement. This shouldn't be a problem. Just do the best you can, I said. I was driving home and wondering what I should do now. I was going to do something, but it had to be legal. Going to jail would cost me Toby, and I wasn't going to risk that. What opportunities were open? You need to be careful when burning houses to make sure your own doesn't catch fire. This took some thought and planning. I suspected that his wife was as ignorant as I was, so the first step would be to tell her about it. I needed to make a list. I was, of course, going to tell her family. Rachel's mom and dad loved me, and they, of course, loved Toby, so telling them was the first thing, but I wasn't sure how to approach it. Making sure all our friends are kept up to date was also on the agenda, and I thought I could make enough noise on social media to keep their lives interesting. This was the first item on my agenda. She had our family's Facebook account. I played with it a little, used the messenger a little, and got my bearings. I looked online and found out that dear old Jerry's wife did the same thing. I screenshotted a few photos and posted a message on Rachel's page saying we were getting a divorce, that she found her soulmate in Jerry by posting his photo. I changed my password and logged out. It was nice. I wondered how long it would be before her friends and family started blowing up her phone and Facebook page. I was hoping that the asshole's wife would get the hint. I didn't know her and felt a little guilty about the shitstorm that would hit her. But if she was like me, she would rather know than be ignorant. I called my mom. This conversation went about as poorly as I thought it would. But despite the initial disbelief, she simply told me that she would tell Dad, and that if I needed anything, they would always be there. I decided that I would let Rachel tell her parents. We were close, and I didn't want to be the cause of any estrangement. Either way, I had no idea what I was going to tell them. Somehow, your daughter is a cheating fallen woman didn't seem like the ideal message. They would probably shoot the messenger. It didn't take long for the shit to hit the fan. Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Rachel's number popped up on my phone. I answered and she got angry. You're an asshole. Her opening salvo gave me great personal satisfaction. You couldn't just leave things as they were, could you? I know you blocked me on Facebook. You will clean up this crap. Jerry's wife doesn't know. All my friends call me asking what happened. My parents know. I'm telling you, Oliver, cut this crap. No. You're not my boss, I told her. What? Are you 5 years old? Take it away, Oliver, I tell you. Why? I asked. You should be happy. This way, everyone can get used to you and your significant other. Are you embarrassed that people find out you're a cheating slut, Rachel? I don't. She fell silent. Apparently she realized the absurdity of what she was about to say. Oliver, please take this away. It wasn't supposed to be like this. You lost all ability to choose what it would be, like the second you cheated, I told her. Any right to attention, any claim you had to my respect or even politeness has vanished like smoke. I told you you're the enemy now, Rachel. Get used to it. I ended the conversation. My phone immediately rang again, but I ignored it. It's time to pick up Toby. I told her the result of my conversation with Elizabeth Baxter, and although she was happy that she was likely to be with me, overall she was not at all happy. What's wrong with her, Dad? She asked. You know I love her, but she was always a little crazy. I never really felt like she was an adult. At least not like you. It always seemed like you had 2 children, her and me. Have you ever noticed? Not like that, I said. Now that you mention it, she's always been kind of impulsive, but she's always been like that. I never thought she would do something like this. Well, we'll just have to make the best of it, she said. Dad, I never want to be in the same house with this bastard without your presence. I don't care what you have to do, just make sure it doesn't happen, okay? I will do everything in my power, I promised. We bought pizza on the way home, and I was just enjoying my second slice when my phone rang. It was Bob, Rachel's father. I wasn't looking forward to it. I told Toby who it was, and she told me to put it on speaker. He got straight to the point. Oliver, I don't know exactly what's going on, but Rachel came here last night and asked if she could stay with us. Would you bother to explain how this happened? Did you ask her? I said. She said you kicked her out. Well, I did. But did she tell you why? No, she said she was going to explain, but she wasn't ready. Are you sure you don't want to wait for her explanation? I asked. Can't you just tell me? He asked. She's having an affair with Jerry Garner, the guy she works with. He's planning to divorce his wife, and she was planning to divorce me, and they're dating, I said. What? This is crazy, Oliver. How did you know that? Yesterday I found them together, I said. Besides, she told me herself. Are you sure you heard right? He asked. Toby spoke. Hi, Grandpa. I listened carefully. Dad is talking to you on speakerphone. There is no misunderstanding here. I was there when she told him. I'm very sorry, Grandpa. I love you. She sobbed, and he heard it. When he spoke again, his voice cracked. Don't cry, love bugs, please. Just be strong, okay? I love you too, and Grandma too. I'll try to reason with your mom. Oliver, are you still here? Yes, I'm sorry, Bob. Don't worry about Toby. You are her grandparents, and nothing will ever change that. I know you love Rachel, and you will do what you have to do. I respect you more than I can express in words. I hope you don't hate me when this is over. That will never happen, he said. I'll find out what's going on. Call me if you need anything. Everything went better than I feared. Shit happens. You do the best you can. There is no need to describe in detail what happened during the divorce process. Most people know plenty of people who have been through this. It was long, painful, and it didn't get any better. Rachel appeared to be delirious. She imagined that she would get custody of Toby. That did not happen. Miss Baxter was as good as advertised. I was awarded full custody based on Toby's desire to live with me, and after hearing Toby in private, the judge ruled that Rachel was entitled to unlimited visitation, but not one that would involve Toby being alone with her and Jerry Garner. In any case, this is no longer a problem. His wife divorced him, but it seems the whole soulmate thing was a bit exaggerated, at least on his part. 2 weeks after I learned of their affair, he began a new conquest. All those grandiose plans evaporated like fog on a sunny day. It took 7 months for the divorce to become final. Rachel changed her mind. I was surprised during our second court appearance when she asked the judge to schedule counseling. Nothing I or Miss Baxter could say seemed to have any bearing on the case, and the judge ordered it to be so. We were supposed to have 8 to 10 sessions. He was some weird old hippie. In the first session, we were asked to state our goals. Rachel's was long and intricate. She seemed to think that I should realize that the pursuit of her happiness was the main purpose of the universe, and that I should understand that she did not mean any harm, only happiness. Mine was much simpler. What are your goals for this class, Mr. Barrowman? He asked. My goal is to finish them off, I said. Our spirit guide frowned. Mr. Barrowman, are you really not interested in working on your problems that have brought your marriage to this point? I'm sorry, Mr. Rodman, but it wasn't my problems that brought my marriage to this state. And I really have no interest in working on them. I am quite happy with my problems and fully intend to die with them. Rachel was as horrified as Mr. Guru and did not hesitate to boldly intervene. Oliver, how are you going to pick up where we left off if you don't want to at least discuss it? I don't know, I said. Let me make this clear for both of you. I don't care at all about going back to what we were or working on problems. I'm here by court order. I will do my best to comply with this court order, then we will go back to court and get a divorce. That's my plan. Did you know that if I go back to the judge and tell him that you have refused to cooperate, you could be held in contempt of court? Said Mr. Guide. I don't know about that, I said. You mean, if you go back to the judge and lie, these sessions are recorded, I'm sure my lawyer would be happy to subpoena the records and expose your perjury. I'm here. I do whatever you say. You asked me about my goals. I told you what they are. See, I'm cooperating." He blushed. "I'm sure the judge expected you to try to resolve the issues between you," he said. "I am not responsible for the judge's expectations," I told him. "I am responsible only for myself." He tried to complicate things. He gave me homework that included spending significant time with Rachel, and she worked hard to wear me down. "Oliver, what will it take for you to give up on the divorce and deal with this?" she asked. "God's providence," I told her. She waited for me to explain it, but I didn't say anything. "What do you mean by action of God?" she finally asked. "Well, if you have a way to turn back time and get rid of dear old Jerry, it will work," I said. "Other than that, I have never heard of anyone other than God having such power. Have you developed any abilities that you haven't told me about, Rachel?" "Well, except for the ability to attract other men with your feminine charm," we wandered on. The dull exercise gave way to a meaningless mantra, and finally, they were over. We went back to court, and the judge asked if we had made any progress. "Your Honor, there is no way that my client intends to remain married to his wife," Elizabeth Baxter said. "We would like this divorce to be finalized as soon as possible. My client and his daughter have been involved in this process for quite some time." Apparently, the judge agreed because 10 days later the ruling arrived in the mail. Toby saw her mother quite often, as she loved her grandparents and spent a lot of time with them. Rachel sometimes planned things that Toby would agree to do with her, but it was never the same. She was hanging out with her friends, and one in particular seemed to be at the top of her list. She was a tiny blonde named Sabrina. It seemed like she practically lived with us. She was as cute as a month-old kitten and sweet as honey. I was happy to have them, and they started including me in some of their events. One of the things they loved was water skiing. We had a boat, and when the summer holidays began, we spent most Saturdays on one of the nearby lakes. On Monday, they asked me if we could go to the lake for the weekend, take our van, and stay there until Sunday evening. Since my social calendar wasn't exactly full, I thought this was a great plan. Toby and Sabrina spent a week planning, and on Thursday, we packed everything they wanted. On Friday afternoon, a new red Jeep Cherokee pulled up in our driveway and Sabrina jumped out. An almost identical woman jumped out from the driver's side, and Toby walked over and threw herself into this unknown woman's arms. She and Sabrina brought the stranger to me. She was clearly nervous. "Dad," Toby said, "this is Julie. She's Sabs' mom, and I know you haven't met her yet." Julia extended her hand. "Hello, Oliver. The girls told me so much about you. Thank you so much for inviting me to come with you this weekend. To tell you the truth, I was a little jealous that they spent so much time with you and not with me." She smiled mischievously at me, and I immediately understood why her daughter was such an adorable little minx. I looked at Toby, and she gave me a glare. My knees were shaking, and I knew when to give in. The shaking intensified as I looked at Subs, and she raised one eyebrow at me. "This will be amazing," I told Julie, speechless. "We always have a great time." She wasn't stupid. She looked from me to the girls, then back to me. "Oh my God," she said. "You didn't know, did you?" "Girls." She didn't have time to say another word. She was buried under an avalanche of hugs, kisses, and pleas. "Please, Mom, don't worry about it. We'll have so much fun," Sabrina said. "It's okay, Julie. Daddy will love you as much as I do, and he's a great guy," Toby said. "Look how he just holds on." She pulled herself free and looked at them. "You two go sit on the porch and I'll go talk to Oliver," she said. They showed some reluctance, and she said, "Now." They took her words seriously and hurried away. "I'm so sorry, Oliver." "I had no idea," she said. "I'm going to take the sub and leave. She will be punished for a month. God, this is so awkward." She looked so small and embarrassed that I stepped forward and hugged her. She tensed at first, but then relaxed. "Yes, it's embarrassing," I said. "They are very naughty, but you and I both know that there is nothing wrong with them. Let me guess. You're single?" She looked up at me and laughed. God, she was cute. "No, that's not true. Do you think that's what it's all about?" "I'm almost sure. I said. That's the problem. You've packed your things, you've cleared your weekend. The lake is going to be great. I'm not a bad guy, as you know from talking to Toby. Let's play along. It will be fun. We could tweak them a little. What do you say? She stepped back, looked at the expectant faces of the girls, and said, Yes, let's go. I gave them a thumbs up and they jumped to their feet, running over to join us. I heard Toby running enthusiastically. Yit! I stopped them and took one under each armpit. Girls, that wasn't very nice, I said. Sabs looked up at me and giggled in her best Skeletor voice. I'm not good. It made us all laugh and I couldn't continue. They were just too sweet and too innocent. We know what you're trying to do, I told them. Stop it, I'm serious. You can't just beat around the bush trying to make other people's lives better. Yes, but I love Jules, and I didn't know how to introduce you to her, Toby protested. Well, you could have just told me, I said. She looked a little sad. It's okay, kitten. Just don't do it again, I said. She immediately perked up. Sabs pulled my hand. Let's go. I cannot wait. It'll be great, Oliver. You'll see. Julia laughed. I think that should be the extent of what's truly cool, Oliver. She's right, though. We are losing daylight. We took 2 bags out of her Jeep and climbed inside. We tied up the boat and, after stopping for propane, hit the road. It was a half-hour drive to the lake, and Julie sat in the front next to me. The girls started playing some terrible music through their Bluetooth connections, and we got to know each other. It turned out that Julie had her own insurance company and was also a financial planner. I noticed her when I looked at her while talking. God, she was cute. I thought Subs would look exactly like she did when she was Julie's age. She looked quite a bit younger than me, and it turned out that she was 3 years younger. She was probably a little over 5 feet tall, had light brown hair down to her lower back, and a nice tan. She had huge brown eyes, high cheekbones, and a perfect little heart-shaped face, including a dowager's hump on her wide forehead. She was wearing jeans and a button-down top, but she was slim and lithe. I didn't want to make fun of her, so I didn't really pay attention to her until we got to the lake. We had permission to park the boat, then the van. They kicked me outside while they changed clothes, and in the meantime, I turned on the water. They came out when they finished changing, and I went in, put on my swim trunks and t-shirt, and we were ready. We grabbed a cooler full of drinks and hit the road. We ran a couple of miles down the lake, and they were ready to ski. Their long t-shirts were off, and the girls were their usual awkward self. Julia was someone else. There was nothing awkward about her. I said she was slim, but she was tiny. She was a real woman. When she turned to watch the girls leave through the back door, I nearly lost my mind. Her bikini hugged her stunning ass. It was small, round, hard, and protruded forward like a shelf. She turned and caught my gaze. She just smiled and winked at me. She had tiny breasts, but anything else on her would look weird. They didn't look tiny on her, they were just perfect. Everything about her was perfection in miniature. Like? She asked. Her smile eased the pain. Her teeth were also perfect. I laughed. For now, you know what you look like, Julie. I am a man. She came and sat down so that she could talk to me, and at the same time look after the girls. We spent 3 hours skiing, and Julie was very good. She steered the boat while it was my turn, and she was good at that too. I wasn't as good as her or the girls. Physics was simply against me, but I stood my ground. We returned to the park, and they put on their robes. The van had a great stove, but the girls wanted to cook outside. We took out a camp stove, and I lit a fire in the barbecue on the site. I fried the sausages while they cut and fried potatoes and onions and opened cans of pork and beans. We cooked and packed a few things at home, but it was our first night, and camp food is always delicious. We sat down at a picnic table provided by the club, and soon it felt like we had known each other all our lives. Julia became Jules, that's what the girls called her, and she liked it, and she called me Ollie. The girls mentioned several times that Jules wasn't married, and I finally asked her why. I mean, God, you're gorgeous, funny, smart, you own your own business. Why hasn't some man picked you up yet? She was silent for a moment. Well, the main reason is Sabrina, she finally said. I was young and stupid, Ollie. I was in my last year of college and thought I had the love of my life. I found out I was pregnant a week before graduation. I wasn't too unhappy. We talked about getting married as soon as we finished school. I guess this plan didn't work since you're talking about it in the past tense, I said. No, that didn't happen. 3 days after I told Brad, I found out that he had been cheating on me for a month. I left him and never looked back. When Subs was born, I didn't have time for a social life for a while, and then I threw myself into building my business. By the time I could catch my breath and even think about dating, I realized that I had this precious gift from God in my life, and I couldn't do anything without thinking about her. I understand, I said. I feel the same way about Toby. As long as I have it, it comes first for me. I can't tell you how important she is to me. She is all that has kept me sane for the last 18 months. She put her tiny hand on my shoulder. I know, she said. She tells Sabs and me everything. I'm so sorry, Ollie. Yes, sometimes life is a real bitch. We both kind of sighed. We looked up and saw 2 pairs of approving and loving eyes looking at us. They spoke in whispers, sitting on folding chairs in the shade of the awning. I love your daughter, I told her. It seems that she is almost mine, all the time she spends with us. She loves you too, she said. She told me the other day that you're like the father she never had. When I looked at her, those huge brown eyes filled with moisture, and a tear rolled down her small dark cheek. I brushed it off with the back of my finger. She's a wonderful girl, I said. I think her mother is a very special woman for raising such a girl. She is also very brave for doing this alone. She smiled with her tear-filled eyes, stood up, kissed me on the cheek, and went to join the girls. We had a great weekend, and as she was getting ready to leave our house, I walked up and knocked on her window. Jules, would you think about going out with me next Friday? I asked. Subs squealed with delight, and Jules smiled her dazzling smile. At what time? 6? I asked. We'll have dinner and then do something else, okay? Oh, can Toby stay with Subs while we're gone? It sounds tempting, and, of course, yes. She kissed me on the cheek and they left. Toby was waiting for me at the entrance. Well, she asked. Did you ask her out on a date? Did you kiss her? I hugged her and spanked her ass. Yes, I did it, and it's none of your business. She squealed, the same sound Sabs made. I knew it. She's perfect for you, Dad. I love her so much, and Subs is like a sister to me. I shrugged. What happens, happens, Toby. You can't force it. Stop playing matchmaker. She buried her face in my chest. I know, Dad, but you were never going to do anything other than just love me unless I did something. It's not that I don't like being the only woman in your life. I laughed. Well, you will always have a place in my heart that no one else can touch. You are my baby, and that will never change. She purred and cuddled up to me for a minute, and then went off to do her own thing. Our first date went well. I took her to play racquetball. She was new to the sport, but she played tennis, and the mechanics of the shots were much the same. Once she got used to the rules and started bouncing off the walls, she did well. Being a natural athlete certainly didn't hurt. She was fast as lightning and could change direction much faster than I could. This is where being tiny worked to her advantage. After we finished, we cooled down at a table outside the courts, drank, and relaxed. She grabbed her phone. Let's take a photo for the kids, she said. We posed with our rackets and goggles, and she took a photo. They responded immediately, and we have a good memory. We both took a shower, and I took her out to eat. It was very tasty Italian style, and we stuffed ourselves. We finished the wine, Jules sat next to me in the booth, and we just sat back, talking quietly and relaxing. It seemed natural to me to hug her, so I did. She pressed herself close to me and smiled up at me. I thought again how cute she was, and realized that she would always be cute. It was something that wasn't supposed to change with age. She leaned towards me as we approached her house and looked up at me expectantly. I could tell she wanted me to kiss her, so I did. I wanted to kiss her, even more than she probably wanted to be kissed. It was long and very tasty. Her lips were plump and soft and tasted like wine and cherry chapstick. As we moved away from each other, I noticed the curtains move. "I think we have an audience," I said. She giggled, much like her daughter. Or maybe her daughter sounded like her. "I'm not surprised. You know they're trying to set us up, right?" "You do not mind, do you?" I asked. She blushed. "No, I like everything I know about you, Ollie." "Me too," I said. "We better get in there before they tear down the curtains." We met every Friday for 4 months. We were getting closer and closer, and I wanted to take our relationship forward. I didn't want to push her, but it got pretty hot at the end of some of our sessions. I also discovered that I enjoyed having her as a friend almost as much as I enjoyed having her as a girlfriend. We talked on the phone constantly. She would reply or text me with funny little things or just a few words several times a day, and I would do the same. I would see or hear something, and I knew it would make Julius laugh, so I had to share it with her. We became very close, and I knew everything about her life, just as she knew about mine. We started having dinner together, all together, every Tuesday, and we would just hang out, play games, and I was almost as in love with Subs as I was with her mother. They were very similar, and if you knew one, you knew the other almost as well. There were subtle and significant differences, but they were both absolutely charming, and the differences only emphasized the similarities. Life was wonderful, and the only thing that marred it was Rachel's constant presence. She was still a part of Toby's life, and therefore, willy-nilly, mine. I wanted nothing to do with her, and her appearance irritated me. She always tried to talk to me every time she came to pick up Toby or I took her to her grandparents. She still lived with them. She lost her job with Jerry at the clinic and worked at another private one on the other side of town. If she annoyed me too much, I would ask her if she had heard from him. This quickly stopped her attempts. "How long will it take you to forgive me?" she asked on one of these occasions. "Forgive you? For what?" I asked. "As far as I know, you don't believe you did anything wrong." Not once did I hear, "I'm sorry, Oliver. I was wrong. I'm sorry that I tried to make Toby believe you were a liar. I'm sorry that I tried to take her away from you, tried to rape you in the divorce." And what's worse is that I never once heard, "I'm sorry I cheated and had sex with that creep behind your back." I didn't hear it then either. She could not take any responsibility for her actions. I really didn't know what forgiving her would entail. I was reconciled and at peace. I didn't forget, but I'm sure I didn't mean to spend a minute grieving over it. People have the right to do stupid things. They have the right to divorce you, leave you, end their friendship with you, and you just accept it and move on. People do shitty things every day. In the heat of the moment, I wanted to punish both traitors, but I quickly went beyond that. Their punishment was that they were who they were. They had to live in harmony with themselves. I fully intended to live with myself, and that meant leaving the lies and cheating behind and living my best life. Rachel was an unhappy woman, and I really wanted everything in the world for old Jerry, but I couldn't do it. Let God or the universe punish them. I quit this game. She became even more unhappy when she found out I was dating Jules. I took Toby to her grandparents for the night, and she came out to the car and stopped me. "I heard you're dating the mother of one of Toby's friends," she said. I just looked at her. "This is true?" she asked. "It's my business," I said. "Damn it, it's not like that," she snapped. "I'm your wife, and I have the right to know." "Your license is crap," I told her. "You are not my wife. You found your soulmate. And it wasn't me, remember? And then something happened that is called divorce. My business is no longer yours, and yours is not mine. Fuck off, Rachel. Don't poke your nose into my affairs anymore." When I left, steam came off me. Damn, this bitch just wouldn't leave it alone. I told Toby what happened. She was just as furious as I was. Before that, I took Toby to her grandparents, and Rachel brought her to our house. Now it's over, Bob, or Cindy's grandparents would come to our house and pick her up from then on. This has eliminated a major source of stress in my life. On the 7-month anniversary of our trip to the lake, I took Jules out with me. We went to a nice restaurant and a club. She drank little, only beer from time to time or one sip. She had 2 children that night. I raised an eyebrow when she ordered a second one. She laughed. "Yes, I'm wild and crazy today, huh?" "You are perfect as always," I said. "Do you really think so, Ollie?" She tilted her head to the side, as usual. "Because I think you're pretty perfect, too. If I'm so perfect, why didn't you invite me to stay the night?" I must have looked pretty scared because she laughed. "Haven't you even thought about it?" I found my presence of mind. Yes, Jules. I haven't thought about anything else since that first day on the yacht when I saw you in that bikini. When we started dating, I realized that you were something different, something special, and I didn't want to pressure you or scare you away. "You won't scare me away," she said. "I told the girls not to wait for me." "Really? So what are we doing here?" I asked. "Oh my God, Jules, let's get out of this place. Do you want to spend the night with me?" She blushed, took my hand, and allowed me to pull her to her feet. "More than anything else, right now." She practically melted into me as we walked out and leaned over to rest her head on my shoulder and held my hand the whole way home. I let her out when we pulled into the garage, and she cuddled with me all the way to the bedroom. I turned her around at the foot of the bed and kissed her. It was one of the most incredible kisses I've ever had, and it just went on and on. When we stopped to catch our breath, she looked up at me, and I drowned in the warm brown pools of her eyes. She put her arms around my neck and looked into my eyes. "Make love to me, Oliver," she said. "I'm a little afraid." "It's not worth it," I told her. "I love you, Julie Barnes. You know that, right?" "I thought so," she muttered. "But I needed to hear it. I love you too, Oliver." I pulled her towards me and unzipped her little blue dress. I did it slowly, running the back of my fingers along her back, and she winced as I felt goosebumps form on her skin. When I reached a small depression in the small of her back, just above her buttocks, I stopped and stroked her there. She shuddered again. Her skin was like satin, and I reached up and pulled the dress off her shoulders, down her chest, and over the curve of her hips. She wasn't wearing a bra. She didn't need it. Her breasts were small, but perfectly shaped and suited her figure. Large breasts would look weird on her. They seemed much larger than they actually were due to her height. She was covered in a golden tan, and I could tell she was sunbathing topless. I turned her around and sat on the bed, holding her at arm's length so I could look at her. I was right. She was perfection in miniature. She was wearing little blue lace panties and was an adorable erotic doll. I pulled her towards me and pressed my cheek against her elastic belly, wrapping my hands around that fantastic ass. God, this was the feeling I had dreamed of. It was round, firm, and smooth. I stood up and undressed, almost tearing the buttons off my shirt in an attempt to press my skin against hers. When I was left in only my shorts, I took her in my arms like a child. I would bet she didn't weigh 45 kilograms. I carried her to the bed, wrapped my arms around her neck, and carefully laid her on the bed, and we wove our passionate embraces into each other. She ended up deliciously naked in my bed. She looked like an erotic angel. Her blonde hair spread out like a halo across the pillow. I moved to get a better look and taste, but she grabbed me. "Later, Oliver," she said. "I'm ready and I'm all on fire. For me, it was such a long time ago. I need you now." I didn't argue with her. I was completely naked, and she gasped when she saw my manhood. "Oh my God, Ollie, take your time, baby. I've never had anything like this." "How much have you already had?" I whispered in her ear. 3, she muttered, "but never anything like that. At first we made love very much slowly, getting used to each other. But when things went faster, it became louder. Her whole body began to move, and I found myself in the sex of the century. She was so active, so athletic, and she put everything she had into lovemaking, just like everything else in life. I knew I wouldn't last long, and it's a good thing she was on edge. Just when I couldn't hold it in any longer, I felt the tension in her body peak and explode. She squealed hoarsely, and pressed herself against me, screaming out her passion as I exploded with her, pouring into her what seemed to be my soul. We swayed and moved together, finally slowing down and stopping. I leaned over her, supporting, some of the weight of my upper body on my elbows, and we kissed for what seemed like hours, mumbling about our love. I've never been soft, and when I caught my breath, we began the dance of passion again. We fell asleep in each other's arms, and twice that night we made love again, once on my initiative and once on hers. The next morning I woke up lying on my back with an angel half prostrate above me. Her hair covered us, and her cheek rested in the hollow of my shoulder. I just watched her sleep, lazily playing with her hair until she opened her eyes. She pressed herself against me and moaned, "My place is here, Ollie." "I know," I said. "Would you like to wake up here every morning?" She opened her eyes and looked at me. "You mean, like, living together?" "No, honey." "Well, yes. But I mean, will you marry me, Julie Barnes?" She raised her small left hand between our faces and moved her fingers. "Nope," she said. "It seems like something is missing." "Hold that thought," I said, and began to get out of bed. "I can hold this thought," she said, "but I can't hold anything else. I need to go to the toilet so bad." I laughed and slapped her ass, making her squeal. "Go, then we'll meet here." She ran away. A little naked fairy, I went down to my office, stopping to use the facilities myself. I took what I came for from my safe, and when I returned, she was curled up under the blanket. I climbed inside and took hold of that left hand again. I looked into her eyes and saw only love there. "Julie, will you marry me?" I put the ring on her finger. It was too big, and we would have to resize it, but this will do for now. She picked it up and looked at it. "This is wonderful," she said. "It looks old. Where did you take it? When did you receive this?" "Remember I told you that I was going to the auction," I said. "It was about a month ago." "Yes, I remember. They were auctioning off the estate, right?" "Yeah. What I didn't tell you is that I saw this ring in a catalog and went out with the intention of buying it and asking you to marry me. It was made in England around 1810 for the Duchess of Avon. It has a long history. Do you like it?" "I like it," she said. "This is the most beautiful ring I have ever seen." "Are you going to answer my question?" I asked. "What? Oh, yes, Oliver. Yes, I will marry you. Oh my God, yes." I laughed and squeezed my bride in my arms. "We need to notify the girls," she said. "Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.